GM, we are live this morning. Aunt X Wall asking for the pit bull or rug pull. Yes, so I actually hopped in both a pit bull and a poodle as this was firing up, and I was waiting for 8 in both of them, which seems not great. I'll hop back into the poodle and see what happens. But if that's still at 8, I might try one of these side contests and see if we can't get lucky there. But Chad, yoink candles, absolutely. The Simpsons-esque yoink coming through. GMGMB Grandy 17. Thank you so much for hopping in this morning. All right, let's see. Let me just see if I can't get something crazy like a sprint. This is not going to work, but we're going to try anyway. I'm just curious. Yeah, sprint's waiting for 9, so that's out of the question. And let me just see what an eliminator does here. If I do a 20-second eliminator, waiting for 6, that's probably going to fill after that poodle. So I'll stick around in this poodle and hope that we can't get it filled. We're waiting for 5, so I will not leave this one. I will not rug pull all of you good folks, and we'll get this one. We'll get this one rolling. So let me see if I can't message some people, see if we can't get this one off and running. We're waiting for 3. But yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you again so much for coming in. Was a couple minutes late, so I'm a little out of sorts. I was trying to start this right at 8:30, but had to wait till 8:35 to get us rolling. So we're waiting for one. 20. Oh, and we're off. We are off. All right. So let's see. Hopefully no ban for Cali. Yeah, best ball on call. I wasn't just being overly clickbaity with the title. It's actually kind of scary. So for those of you who don't know, apparently the California Attorney General, it's being reported, might be issuing a legal opinion that fantasy sports constitute gambling. And right now, sports betting is illegal in California. They put it up for a vote in 2022, and Californians voted against legalizing sports betting. But fantasy sports is in kind of a legal gray area where it could be considered a game of skill. But if the Attorney General decides that, puts out an opinion saying he believes it to be a gambling, then all of a sudden all the operators in that state are probably going to have to pull out. And it doesn't seem like a New York kind of thing where if it actually does get banned in California, I don't think it'll just come back in a few months. I think it could be really bad. So hopefully the industry is able to put some pressure, on the good folks in Sacramento, and that doesn't happen. I really hope not, because losing California would be massive for liquidity and getting these games filled. Even if you don't live in the state, when something happens to like a New York or California, we all feel it. It's bad for the industry. It's bad for all of us. So let us hope that does not happen. That would really be unfortunate. Aunt X-Wall, last poodle, make it a banger. Well, I can make no promises there. I am there in the 12 hole. We'll see what we can do. James Young, best ball entries from CA players. Yeah, I think they wouldn't be able to enter future contests. Again, I'm not trying to FUD everyone, and it's only one report, but I don't know. I think it's something that, hopefully if it is close to happening, that there can be enough pressure placed on the right people to where that does not occur, because that would just be so bad. I mean, I have strong opinions on the matter. Like, you can literally just go into a 7-Eleven and buy $10,000 worth of lotto tickets and no one will stop you. But like, making it illegal to play a $25 best ball tournament just seems absolutely nuts to me. But you know what else is nuts? Getting Nico Collins and BTJ at the turn. So I'll just snap that off. The bully spot. Yeah, I see you in the 11 hole, Dirty P. I'll play nice if you do. I left you Derrick Henry, which I know is what you were hoping for there. All right. So you take Drake London. Yeah, I didn't actually think you were taking Derrick Henry. Let's see who we got in here. We got B Grandy here at the 5 hole. He gets CD Lamb. We get Ant X Wall at the 9 hole. He gets Malik Neighbors and Dirty P opening up with Amon Ra and BTJ. So a nice friends and family room here. Can't get that overlay on my scratchers though. No, you can you can go online in most states and see which lotto tickets have had the big prizes claimed, and that'll boost your EV on negative 50% to negative 48% on your scratchers. So there's always that. There's always that. 12 spot bullies the 11 spot after the first pick. James, I think I disagree. I think if the 11 spot doesn't get what they want, it's on them. Like you can't push somebody around the turn and expect to get them. If there's one player you want, you got to do it. Even if you see them with like an elite QB and you're pushing a QB, like I just take it unless there's some really big drop off in the other positions, because it almost feels like the people at the 1 and the people at the 12, they only get to interact with one person, and if for some reason they're just in a fighting mood, they're like, I'm going to make this one team worse. It's the one thing I can control. So we'll see. But yeah, you definitely can make the 11 spot kind of miserable if you go out of your way to do so. But that's not how I like to operate here. Dirty P, I did consider Henry, but I just did that Mega Ravens in this contest, or was that a pity? Yeah, I can't remember. I think that was our Pitbull draft, but yeah, I'd have to go back and look. But yeah, let's see. Nico, BTJ, I like both those players to start a draft with. Again, we'll see what we get at the turn. The right side of the board, this range, this 3-4 turn, I don't really love what you get from picks 9 to 12, but hopefully we can get somebody that we like. Trey McBride all the way to 30, so he's been a big faller lately, at least as far as second round players go. Grandy, he gets Terry McLaurin. We'll see if he is able to pair him with Jaden Daniels. I feel like B. Grandy, you like McLaurin a lot. I think from my recollection, you get him in quite a few drafts. And X-Wall, big discount on Garrett Wilson. Love that selection there. I would Neighbors, Brown, Wilson is a very strong start. So let's see what you folks left me with here. I guess I will just take Breece Hall kind of at the end of this tier of running back, and then maybe just take Ted McMillan. I really like Jameson Williams, but I don't need to get him in every single draft I'm in. Lamar, making this an elite QB team. I do a lot of Lamar at the turn, but I'll vary it up. I'll take a Ted McMillan share here. And you know what? No, I'm going to take James Cook if I can get him. I changed my mind. I don't get a ton of James Cook, but I think I'm kind of excited about taking a couple of receivers there. So changed my mind, and hopefully, Dirty P, I doubt you were after James Cook. Lamar Jackson makes sense, and that way, you hopefully you didn't really want another Henry Lamar team, because that was not the way you went. But Lamar did fall to you at 38. And X-Wall, he comes up on the clock. Does he go pure piss boy? He does. He takes DJ Moore there. So going 4 receivers to start is Ant X-Wall. I'm going 2 and 2. Dirty P goes to a quarterback, a running back, and 2 receivers. And B. Grandy, so far, he is almost up. Jaden Daniels goes to the Josh Allen drafter. My God. Chad rug pulling himself. Yeah, it was a last-minute audible. I don't take a ton of James Cook, but I have like no Breece Hall James Cook teams. And, maybe that's a combination not going to be sad that I don't have. But, again, just trying to not build the same teams over and over. B. Grandy, I'm sorry that Jaden Daniels went to the Josh Allen drafter. I don't know what this person's doing. I don't think they know what they're doing. That's okay. We all, need to learn to make our own mistakes. George Kittle, though, I don't think is a mistake. I love that selection for you there. ATX Bearcat. Good morning, GM GM to you. Thank you so much for coming by today. Hope your morning is starting off well. And hopefully it's, starting off better than the 8-hole with their double elite, channeling their inner gritty in this room. 8-hole with the highest tee start of all time. Yeah, they are. CMC, 8-Chain, and Josh Allen is pretty beefy. And then you add Jaden Daniels to that, and you're just saying all of our fantasy points are coming on the ground. And that's just how we like it. That's just how we like it. All right. Beyond that, nobody doing anything odd. We do see a attempted Burrow push from the Chase Brown, the Jamar and Chase Brown drafter, as well as the T. Higgins drafter. But T. Higgins drafter, he does not do the Sutton Hurts combo. A little surprised to see that there, but maybe he saw Burrow. The 1-hole did not take Burrow. Ant X-Wall with a nice fall on Jalen Hurts. I certainly would have strongly considered him at 60. It's hard to pass up on him there. B. Grandy adds Romo Dunze, a good receiver to his team. Let's see what we get. It's all running backs, and I took a running back last time, which is starting to feel like maybe I should have not done that. But I will add Joe Mixon to the team, and then a receiver. Just a question of who. Probably Chris Godwin. I think he makes the most sense, assuming health. I think he's a really strong value in the 5th, 6th round. So let's take Mixon. We'll build out a bet on Houston, and we will take potentially elite receiver as long as the health holds up there. Dirty P, he took Ken Walker and Kamara, so he is now up to 3 running backs. So we're hogging the running backs over here, Dirty P and I. Again, I doubt that Mixon was going to be your choice, although maybe, I can't remember if you're a Mixon or Kamara guy. Ant X Wall, what can he add to his very strong start? Probably a running back. He takes RJ Harvey. Again, nice value there. Nice value, a player we were taking in the 40s, now in the 60s. So Ant X Wall, strong team you're putting together so far. He's paying the rake. James says 10 of you are paying the rake. Indeed. Yeah. Well, he does at least get Deebo Samuel with Jaden Daniels, because you got to stack your second quarterback option. But no, I like that pick. That's pretty early for Juwan Jennings for him, but he does have CMC. So watch for this guy to also take. Take Brock Purdy. Joe Burrow does make it all the way to the Higgins drafter, so the push happens. I could not rely on any of you guys to protect the integrity of the poodle. Disappointed in you over in the middle of the board. You cannot rely on the turn to take Burrow. That's on you guys. That's on you guys. I left you Nico for the Nico correlation. I play nice like you mostly. Yeah, Dirty Pete, thank you. Thank you for not taking Mixon. But no, get your guys. Don't worry about me. I will be okay. I don't want anyone to like alter what they're doing on because they're here. I would feel bad if people did that. That said, I think Ken Walker is in the same class as Mixon there, and certainly just a just fine pick. Let's see, Ruth Visionary channeling his piss boy. He now takes a 5th receiver through 7 rounds, and beyond that, nothing too out of the ordinary in this room. Looking at what's going to come to us at 84, this is a spot where I find myself taking too much Hawkinson, just because I'll take a lot of receiver there, so I'll be at 4 receivers, 3 running backs, and then my natural inclination is to continue filling the roster. So that's why I get a lot of Hawk. Don't know if that's necessarily the best way to build. Don't need to force. You don't need to build it like you're building your home league teams. Certainly a bit of a trap to do that every time. But I do like Hawkinson quite a bit. So it just depends on who else we get here. Mahomes comes around, but I don't really have any great need to do that unless I get really cute and do like a Mahomes Pacheco. I'm going to queue up Pacheco. I'm kind of into him. I could take Baker here. I could certainly take Baker. And I could take another receiver. So we're going to let Pacheco come off the clock. And you know what? We're going to do Mahomes here, and we're going to try to backstack him later. I did this in an earlier draft, and I kind of liked how it came out. I think it's a little wonky. I don't get a ton of Mahomes. I'd like to boost that exposure a bit. Maybe that's better when you pair him with Worthy. Let's see, where's the Worthy drafter? Worthy went at 45. So, maybe he was hoping to get Mahomes at ADP there. Maybe this is the kind of pick you make more on the left side of the board than the right, especially with me having a pretty big fade position on Rashee Rice. But, again, we're in a poodle. We're trying to experiment with stuff. I can now end this team at 5 running backs and feel good. Take some late round darts on receivers and hope that we can land this plane. It is a nice fall someone's going to get on. I guess not really too much of a fall on Baker. Was Baker maybe a better pick than Mahomes? Possibly, but again, trying some different stuff here. Trying some different stuff. Let's see. Mistakes were made. Was testing you to go BTJ JT fail again. Yes, no, I do like that. If we're building for week 17, I love that start. Who Hames, sup fam, GM to Who Hames. Great to see you in here today. I really got a kick out of your stream yesterday. It was as always very well done, Who Hames, and thank you so much for stopping by this morning. Definitely started the stream with a little bit of a rush today. So glad we were able to get it off. Let's see what our friends did. Ant X Wall. So he has now gone 3 running backs in a row, adding Caleb and Aaron Jones to his team. B Grandy, he has Pearsall, Swift, and Pittman, all perfectly fine picks. And Dirty P, he adds Darnell Mooney and TJ Hawkinson. So he now goes for the Atlanta double. Like that quite a bit. Find myself doing that somewhat. And of course, I mentioned I get a lot of Hawkinson. I feel like he's a nice click at that spot in the board. I am not lucky enough to get Travis Kelce. That would have been too much to hope for, that he came all the way to back to me there. Maybe we're being made to pay for this Mahomes selection by this room. But you know what? You just never know what the room's going to give you. And it did not give us a falling Mahomes. GM Al Boogie, thank you so much for coming by. Yes, weekly winners is wild. I you and Bindles put on a great show. I liked your idea of the way you targeted it, the way you can build some wild structures. If you all, I would recommend, if you can catch Huhaim's stream from yesterday, it was really interesting if you're trying to do weekly winner stuff. Yes, Huhaim's though is the wild one. All right. We are coming up. AJX Bearcat finally found your stream yesterday. I assume this is to Who Hames. Yes, the Who crew is growing, and deservedly so. Absolutely deservedly so. We're gonna take Evan Ingram here, and then Trey Harris. I think that makes sense. Evan Ingram, of course, week 17 to Mahomes. I also need a tight end. I like him a lot. And then Trey Harris, I think, is just the best receiver on the board at this time. So for the audio listeners, we have 1-4-4-1 with Mahomes at QB, a running back room of Breece Hall, James Cook, Joe Mixon, and Isaiah Pacheco. Wide receivers of Nico Collins, BTJ, Chris Godwin, Trey Harris, and then Evan Ingram holding it down at tight end. So again, kind of unstacked Mahomes. I typically don't build that way, but trying something a little different, seeing if maybe we can figure out a way to backstack Mahomes later, or at the very least, sometimes naked QB can work, right? I mean, it can help you advance. It definitely underdone in Battle Royale format. I know that's different. And Steve got his big board team I think Steve from Fanspeak finished 4th in the big board, if I'm not mistaken. And that was by way of a unstacked Baker getting him through week 16 was the piece he needed to win that pod to get into the finals in the first place. So again, I think we can sometimes be a little rigid with our rules, and maybe a few drafts here and there kind of vary those things so we don't build the same every time. I was ready to unlike an unsub if you didn't click Ingram and Harris. Great picks. All right, Dirty P. Thank you. Sometimes I feel like the picks kind of make themselves, and that one was an instance where I think to do much else would have been overthinking it in that case. With no week 17 stuff, you could argue Andrews to Ingram, but I think even so, I prefer Ingram to Andrews this season as much as I also do. I take quite a bit of Andrews. I like him as well. T-Law goes. That's unfortunate. I was hoping I think that's early for T-Law too. I was hoping to pair him with BTJ. That's not going to happen. Looks like a lot of quarterbacks are coming off the board. This doesn't appear to be a room where people are pushing it. Let me see. Lawrence's ADP was 134, which is right where we're picking. So that is a little unlucky there that we're not going to be able to build that out. We're not going to be able to get Tampa Bay's quarterback. And we'll see if Stroud comes to us or not. But again, Stroud sometimes goes naked. J Money 22 has no quarterbacks at all. So again, we might be trying to cobble something together in this room. We'll see what happens for us. But let's see. B Grandy. So he gets Purdy paired with Pearsall. He gets Dak. I'm pretty sure you're the Lamb drafter. Yes. Nice picks there. And Bayshell Tootin, love him at 125. Nice potential spike week guy. Our friend Ant X Wall, he takes Caleb, which makes sense because he's the DJ Moore drafter. Gets Caleb and Mims. Hollywood Brown goes. So there goes my just add water stack to Mahomes. Did not get either piece we were hoping for, but let's pull up the board and see what we can get. Interesting. I will queue up Stroud here. Now, do we try to do something like Stroud Herbert? That feels like a lot with already having Mahomes on the team. I don't think I need to do that. That seems a little too cute. Tajay Spears. If I take Tajay Spears, I could potentially just shut it down at 5 running backs and feel decent enough about that. A lot of nice tight end value on the board. Tyler Warren would be interesting, and then I could potentially just end at 2 tight ends. I think that might be the way I'm leaning, although I just think I like Tucker Kraft more than Tyler Warren. If I'm going to end at 2, I think I'd rather it be Kraft and Ingram. So I'll see maybe about adding another quarterback late. 2-7-7-2, not my favorite build. I would prefer like a 3-6-7-2. I would rather add one late quarterback, but I think Kraft gives me a little more flexibility. Again, tempting to maybe take Herbert there, but I think adding another position player was the move, although I am open to soliciting your all opinion on that. Again, maybe if I'm going to take another quarterback, that would have made sense because I'm not going to be able to build a stack with any of my my current pieces. I'm going to have to do a true back stack there. But yeah, again, as far as the selection of a tight end versus Tajay Spears, I think to me, I rate Kraft pretty highly. I think there's a good chance that him and Ingram could kind of alternate who is hitting the lineups and feel pretty good about the tight end position. Tyler, Emo Cowboy, GM, good morning to you. Tyler, can you remind me, is the Typhel Tower on tonight? Is that Thursday nights? If so, I believe it is Thursday. The Typhel Tower YouTube channel is new and up and running. And again, that is Appointment TV. I recommend that with you, a Best Ball guy, and PPR Tyler. It is a fantastic entertaining and educational show. So make sure to catch that. Such a bad name. No, it's not. It was me stumbling over it because I'm you know it is a perfectly fine name, the Typhul Tower. But let's see what our friends do here. Ant X, while he takes the aforementioned Tyler Warren, gets a nice ADP value. B. Grandy adds Isaac Garendo. Makes sense. He got Brock Purdy on his team, so building out the San Francisco bet. And Dirty P takes Cedric Tillman. Is that where Cedric Tillman goes, or is that just early? Let me see. Let me see, Dirty P. What are you doing here? So Tillman goes at 151. So if you do want Tillman at the turn there, you could not count on him to be there coming back. So I see the vision. I see why you would take him if he's, this wide receiver range is pretty darn cooked. So if you're looking for a receiver, I don't mind taking him over QJ, Betch, and Palmer if that's your preference. I think that's perfectly fine at this point in the draft, and especially when you're on the turns, if you got to do what you got to do, go Gadget Arm, absolutely. We've got Dirty P, Inspector Gadget here, reaching across the time and space to take Cedric Tillman. Crander 47 GM. Thank you so much for stopping by this morning. Great to have you. Great to see you. We will be doing one more draft after this. I don't know what we'll do. We'll see what the underdog gods give to us as far as Phil's robotic reach around. Absolutely. I guess that maybe that was the alternate name for the Typhul Tower, was the robotic reach around, but I think you guys chose well. So J Money gets Herbert. I wasn't even going to say, Herbert 30 picks past ADP. My God, that would have been nice. As far as what I do here, I don't see any of these. Oh shoot, who do I want here? I think I'm just going to take Geno, and I think I am going to take Pat Bryant on this team. I like Eckler well enough. Roshan Johnson would be fine, but if we're gonna kind of lean into this Week 17 thing and add another high upside rookie, let's take a share of Pat Bryant. We'll make Geno the third quarterback. You could certainly argue that I did not need to take a third quarterback with Mahomes and Geno there. I'm certainly open to that. To that suggestion. There's a couple late receivers you can try to pair Geno with, and I really think he's going to have a good season. So, maybe being a little rigid with the 3 quarterback rule, but it was something that I think on this team makes a certain amount of sense. And again, these receivers in this range are just not that much better, in my opinion, than the people you're taking for free late. That I kind of just wanted to lock that up there. But again, I am certainly open to your all's comments on that, on what they would have done in that situation. Dirty P, what does he do? He takes Rico Dowdle. In an alternate timeline, maybe I take Bryce Young and Rico Dowdle. That would have been a way to play that if I wanted to add another quarterback. Bryce Young, a little bit of rushing upside. You can play him unstacked. You can stack on Jatavian Sanders late. Coker's free. So maybe that would have been another way to play that could have potentially been superior. But yes, Dirty P liked the Dowdle pick. Ant X, while he takes Austin Eckler, and B Grandy gets Roshan Johnson. So some strong selections by the friends and family contingent in this room. Who Ames is okay with the Pat Bryant click? Yes, I almost dedicated the selection as a selection to you there, and should have. I know you are the OG Pat Bryant bull on the team. Meanwhile, Trevor Lawrence, who should have been on my team but went all the way at the 1 hole, he gets Brenton Strange. So he everything I love, Rush the Visionary, has taken from me. Again, all the way across the board. You really hate to see it. So to round out the team, let's just look at what we've got with a 3-4-5-2. Probably this will be a 3-5-7-2, I think is the way that I am looking to land the proverbial airplane here, unless there is some great value at tight end, in which this could be a 3-5-7-3 team. And I think I did my math wrong before. I think I left a player out. We're just going to take some good players. We're going to take some good players, and we're going to figure it out. Let's see what the room gives us. However, don't take a ton of Jalen Knoll, but he would make sense with C.J. Stroud on this team. Braylon Allen, if I want to handcuff the Jets running backs, could do worse than that. I find myself a little bit Miles Sanders pilled. If he comes around, the chance that he's the lead in Dallas. Will Shipley might be the best running back, contingent value back out there. So let's queue up Sanders and Knoll here. And yeah, let's see. Sanders or Shipley is the question. Let's take Jalen Knoll first. I think that sort of makes the most sense on the team. If I want Dante Thornton, I think, though, the time is now. So I'm just going to take Dante Thornton and make sure we lock up at least somebody for Geno Smith to throw the ball to. Dante Thornton seems like he's going to be the classic kind of spike week guy. So, and if I want to add some contingent value backs, I can do that in the last 2 rounds. So I don't think Miles Sanders is going to come around, but we can watch him disappear from the queue. Cali thinking of banning. They just need to find a way to tax the winnings. Yeah, I went over this at the open, but basically it sounds like the California Attorney General might put out a legal opinion stating that they are of the belief in the California AG's office that fantasy sports constitutes gambling. Now, sports gambling is illegal in California. The voters voted it down in 2022 when it was up for a vote. So if the Attorney General comes out and says it's gambling, that means that they could, sue the operators in the state who run fantasy sports. And the fantasy sports operators simply do not want to get sued, and they will leave. And this would be really bad. I hope this does not happen. This affects all of us, whether you're in California or not, as we saw with New York. And we didn't get a puppy for 35 years because they were scared contests wouldn't fill. And California would be, I don't know if there's more players in California or New York. I suspect there are because it's a bigger state. So anyway, we do not want this to happen. Frankly, this kind of just dropped yesterday. Nothing is confirmed yet. I'm not trying to set off a panic. I'm not trying to crash the real estate market in California from all of us leaving. But it's, one of those things to keep an eye on. And I don't know if the industry is going to be able to put pressure on the powers that be to leave well enough alone and let people enjoy their hot best ball summer. ATX Bearcat, hope you enjoy it. I hope he did too, because I know I did. Again, Who Hams, great stuff with the weekly winners content. Steve Shope from the Fanspeak Network. Again, speaking of fantastic content, Steve out there in the Fanspeak Network, amazing stuff. I have not caught Best Ball Jeopardy between you and Herzig. I am looking forward to seeing that. No spoilers, please, in the chat. But yes, Steve, amazing stuff. And I do look forward to watching that. That is queued up in my list of things to go over today. B Grandy 17 is based in New York, and it was awful. Our gaming commission did not like me. Yeah, and it's not the same as New York, where there was just like a paperwork and payment snafu. It would literally just be like, you guys cannot operate here. You must leave, and that would just be really really pretty awful in my opinion. So let's see. Brashard Smith would be a nice click with Mahomes. But again, there's guys like Giddens who make sense. Keaton Mitchell, strong pick. I don't have them necessarily in the order I want. I just want to be able to grab them if I need. Taj Brooks, he makes sense. Let's see. As far as tight ends go, Juwan Johnson, he's a guy that I am pretty high on. I view him pretty close to the receivers in this range. I wouldn't mind him there. Dirty P, he takes Torrey Horton. Brashard Smith, I think, is the clear winner with Mahomes on this team. So I will I guess that's getting a little cute, taking Pacheco and Brashard Smith. And now the question is what do I do with my last pick? Is it a tight end, or is it, you know what? We're going to hope that we were right. We're going to draft it like we were right with those tight ends. We're going to take Keaton Mitchell, representing the backup running back in Baltimore. If something happens to Derrick Henry, we will want him. Dirty P. I apologize if that's who you wanted, being that you have our friend Lamar. But again, yes, Torrey Horton makes sense. I'm assuming, yes, you as the Sam Darnold team, love it. Love it. I do not feel bad about taking Keaton Mitchell. So my team ends up as a 3-6-7-2 with Mahomes, Stroud, and Geno. Running back room of Breece Hall, James Cook, Joe Mixon, Isaiah Pacheco, and then a couple of upside swings in Brashard Smith, hoping he has the McKinnon role, and Keaton Mitchell, hoping he mixes in more and potentially has contingent upside. Receiver room of Nico Collins, BTJ, Chris Godwin, Trey Harris, Pat Bryant, Jalen Noel, and Dante Thornton. So 3 veterans and 4 rookies, a very young wide receiver room. And then Evan Ingram and Tucker Kraft holding it down. Don't mind this team. Feels like it at least tells a story. We'll see what happens with Mahomes and 2 Kansas City running backs. A little squirrely there, but I think the rest of the team makes sense. Who aims with the giant tax on gambling in America? I don't understand why any state would be against it. It sounds like they hate money. Yes, and they all have lotto tickets, which they know generate huge revenue, and yet they make it's just such a weird distinction that just doesn't make any sense. All the cool kids are hand-cucking their running backs anyway. I love to see that. I do, I have this need to be one of the cool kids, so I'm glad to do that. Steve done the Bijan Puka for Superflex for the 3rd time. This time Stafford went 10 picks before ADP. Suhaim's chasing the stack like the Loch Ness Monster, but cannot find it. And with the other 3 QBs on the board before him, I hate when that happens. But yes, let us see. I'm gonna fire something else up. Let's see. Did this draft complete? Let's look over our friends. Let's see what B Grandy did. He has a 3-6-7-2 as well, with Purdy, Dak, and Daniel Jones. Running back room of Taylor, Swift, Tootin, Garendo, Roshan, and Sanders. So a more of the later round upside swings there, but Tootin, Roshan I like quite a bit. Garendo certainly makes sense on the Purdy team and has some contingent upside. Wide receiver room, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Romo Dunze, Ricky Pearsall, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Jalen Tolbert. So a big bet on the Colts you have there with Taylor, the 2 receivers, and Daniel Jones, and Kittle and Fergie at tight end. I like that. I think you ended with a couple of good tight ends on your team. Ant X Wall, he goes 2-6-7-3 on his team. Jalen Hurts, Caleb Williams holding it down. Nice elite quarterback, and 1 more. RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson, Aaron Jones, Tyrone Tracy, Austin Eckler, and Braylon Allen. I like the team, other than I am a Cam Scatabo truther. So that means I am a Tyrone Tracy disbeliever. But I do know I can be capable of being wrong. Malik Neighbors, AJ Brown, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore, Marvin Mims, Xavier Legette, Trey Tucker. Very strong receiver room. I'm pretty out on Trey Tucker, but again, this could be a camp battle, and if we're high on Las Vegas, it does sound like Tucker. Tucker is out there even more than our King Jack Betch. So don't hate the pick. And then Tyler Warren, Mason Taylor, and Theo Johnson. Again, a very young tight end room, but one with quite a bit of upside. And finally, nope, that's not who I'm trying to click on. Dirty P, who is next to me. I think we got along nicely. A 3-5-8-2. Lamar, Penix, and Darnold. Very strong QB room. Kyron, Ken Walker, Kamara, Dowdle, and Hunter. So a pretty veteran-heavy running back room, but ones with players with terrific roles in Kyron in an offense we're excited about. Kamara in an offense we're not excited about, but tends to get the lion's share of the running back snaps there. And who knows if New Orleans is better, Kamara could really be a nice value there in the 50s to 60s. Amon-Ra, Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Rashad Bateman, Cedric Tillman, Romeo Dobbs, Torrey Horton, and MVS. A lot of double stacks here as far as Seattle and Atlanta. I like that. And Hawkinson and Andrews. Again, you were also able to double stack Lamar. So pretty strong team there from Dirty P. Good job, everyone in the room. I certainly hope at least one of us makes it through to the next round. All right. I'm going to try to hop in a pit bull. a 20-second, but if it's like waiting for 7 or more, waiting for 11, I'm just going to hop out of this. That did not work. I am going to optimistically see if we got a sprint closer to filling, 30-second sprint. Waiting for 8, that's not going to fill. I'm going to hop out of that. And all right, let's try a BBM. Let's see what a 30-second BBM looks like. That is at waiting for 11. That's not going to fill. This is going not great, and California is still with us. All right, how about a 20-second BBM? I really prefer to do these 30 on stream, but waiting for 6. All right, I'll stick around. If you want to hop in a BBM with me, 30 or 20-second BBM. All right. Cali is just a weird state. Yeah, they do what they want over there. Who hames for the lore? Steve done it the other 2 times. Yes, you're the elusive super flex stat Ant X. Well, don't worry, I have 30% cam scat. The Trey, got it. Week 17. Hey, Donnie Murphy, first time catching the live and just sub, loving the show. Thanks, Donnie Murphy. I really appreciate the sub. Thank you so much for coming in and for the kind words. It is truly appreciated, and I really enjoy hanging out with you all and drafting with you guys. Kevin loved all those picks. All right, I hope you're talking to me, Kevin. But knowing how you think of my drafts, you're probably talking to somebody else. Whose team I went over. ATX Bearcat is in the room. If you are dying to do a 20-second BBM, well, now's your chance. But let's see. I was anticipating it to fill slightly faster, but it is also 9:18 in the morning. It's also very early, so this will eventually fill. I'm not going to hop out. Because I was yesterday's stream, if you caught it, was pretty funny. Every time I did the same thing where I was hopping in and out of rooms, and I finally hopped in one, and I was number 12, so just snap filled, and everyone else was was left in the lurch. And I know there were a couple people trying to get in the room, so I did feel bad. But this time, if you did not get in, it was your choice. So now we're down to waiting for 4. Let me just see if I can. Waiting for 420-sec BBM. All right. Let's see. All right, we put that up. Bring the stream back up. And all right, yeah. All right, let's see. I have my exposures in BBM crawling across the bottom of the screen in case I know the scroll is easy to just tune out, but it has saved me from having to pop those over. I did 1 BBM last night, so I now am up to 42. I have not updated the ticker, but if I updated it after every draft, it would, I have to manually type all those in, and when the order changes, it's kind of a pain. So, there we go. You can see my slappy stands, like way too much Cam Scatabo and Tootin, and then beyond that, I'm fine. I'm trying not to get over 28% of anybody, and those guys are pushing 30, so that's too high. I'm not trying to be an 8% bro, but I'm also trying to not have my entire BBM live and die with a player. No, because no matter how much you like somebody, if they get injured, you're done. Like Rashi Rice last year, you were correct. If you were taking tons of Rice, you were right, and you just got unlucky. And I do not want the whole of my portfolio to come down to injury luck, but I do want it so that if the players I like smash, I'm at least paid off. So 25% is 3x. Yes. Yeah. And I guess that's fine, right? Like 3x feels to me kind of like the max I want to get to. And so I'd be okay with that being 3x the field. But when you're like 5-6x the field, you know, you're just overexposed to a game, which, does have like so much injury variance. And if I take 35% of the guy and they just stink, I'm actually okay with that, because at least it was like on me. If I take 35% of someone and they get hurt, then I don't know. That just feels a lot worse. So, all right. Ant Xball says, "I'm sure you're the best night of this sleep of your life, knowing how many people you rug pulled." Absolutely, it was great. I told everyone. I told my wife about how I just was hopping in and out of rooms, and she was very interested in that. She. All right, let's see. Dirty P agrees with who? 25% should be max. Yeah, I think that's that's around where I want to keep things. Let's see. ATX Bearcat, I see you in the 2-hole, and I don't know if I see anybody else in here. If you are in here, please identify yourself. You are legally obligated to, under the terms of the Fourth Geneva Convention, to identify yourself in the chat. If you are in the room. Next time, I'll specify. Kevin says, whose picks I liked. If I shared that now, it would be anticlimactic. Okay, good. It will leave me to wonder. But you know what I'm not wondering is who I'm going to take here. I'm just going to take Bijan at 5. I will never complain about that. ATX Bearcat, he starts out with Saquon. So we are off and running in this 43rd BBM of mine. So I think I'm pacing well to where I want it to be. I wanted to, at the beginning of this, do about 50 BBMs in July and 50 in August. And I think I'm going to hit that. I'm going to have about 100 left roughly when July 1st hits. And yeah, it'll let me take advantage of training camp news. I can back off of guys who aren't playing. And then hopefully these early drafts lock up some stacks and values that are not going to be there because things do open up, but things do also close up. So, I think there's a lot of good discussion to be had over how to allocate your portfolio. I think if you're more risk tolerant, doing more early makes sense because, you will get risers late. You will get combos you can't get late, and you'll get a ton of CLV, but you're also going to have more dead teams. You're also, going to have, less information to work with. So it just depends how you want to allocate your portfolio. I don't think one way is best or worst. This is just the way I'm doing it. And again, I think it's a pretty interesting thought exercise. We rugged you, Chad. Eat it. Yeah, I know. Dirty P was in the 32nd BBM that I was not in yesterday, that I hopped out of, and he drafted a good team there. And, maybe that's exactly what you need. Maybe that's my way of giving back to the community, Dirty P, is to set you up in a room where you build the shipper. And it's, it's like a mama bird, just, it seems cruel and pushing you out of the nest, Dirty P, but you took flight. Sorry, I don't know. That analogy was god awful. All right, Kevin has 96 left to do. So anytime you're stone cold locked with Kevin, you're in good company. I don't mind having 30% of the core guys as long as roster construction is different. Yes, that's another thing, is just not building the same team every time, because it's so easy to do that. Those comfy clicks. Dirty P's at 79 BBMs, hoping to have 65 left for August through close. That makes sense if you want to heavily weight it towards August. I definitely see value in that. What is going to come to me? Will AJ Brown fall? Will it be A-Chain or Taylor? Interesting choice here. I'm going to do A-Chain and start out robust RB in this particular BBM. I do that a lot because I don't think there's going to be a lot of Bijan A-Chain teams. This was a fall on Bijan and a fall on A-Chain, so that's going to be kind of hard to do. Is it my favorite start? Definitely not. I am a little more cowardly in BBMs. I'm going to confess to you all, I don't like falling too far behind in wide receiver, especially if we're streaming. Some of these drafts can be a little more receiver heavy, but ATX Bearcat, we're in solidarity. He takes Bucky Irving, so we're going to be strong. We're going to find some receiver values late, and and make this happen. But yeah, for me, this was, this is a combo I'm sure I don't have in BBM, and I think it's going to be somewhat uncommon. Will my next pick be a wide receiver? I'm just going to telegraph that. Yes, I will. I will not get cute. I will not take even if, wow, ATX Bearcat takes Chase Brown. So he is going giga high T. All right. Good luck, buddy. Good luck. Let's hope that you can land the plane going heavy, running back early over there. MHJ goes, I'm not huge on T. Higgins, but I will take him if Higgins falls to me. I prefer Wilson to Higgins, but all right, I didn't even get the choice. I'm just going to take Higgins. We're just going to scoop this ADP value. I don't know what else to say. And this also enables me to be the Burrow pusher and only have to get him to 68 if I want to do that. So interesting start so far. Interesting start. Ton of ADP value. And I say ton, it's not that many picks, but in the early rounds, that is a lot. That's a lot. So let's see. Do you feed mouth? Yeah. And as soon as I went down that road with that analogy, I wished I hadn't. It's not good. It's not good. Let's move on from that. You can stay. You can stay in the nest. There's no more nest. The nest is canceled. Bijan A-Chain, such a great playoff schedule. Yeah, I agree. I love Atlanta's playoff schedule, and the Dolphins. The Dolphins closing against Tampa Bay. If those two teams are competitive, that could be a really people love to use the word fun in best ball. I find it so funny when people describe teams as fun. Like it's I don't even know what it means. Like, it's hard to define. Like, it's not just ADP value. I guess it's just like players you're excited about. It's like, oh, that's a fun team you hear. But yeah, it just reminded me. But that should be a fun game. Dolphins Bucks if everybody is healthy. I love watching you take Higgins. Gives me such pleasure. Kevin, gosh darn it. All right. Cincinnati, Miami, week 16. Yes, that too. I had almost forgotten that. And that, I'd say that game's fun, but I'm a Dolphins fan, and I just imagine Cincinnati's like gonna win like 45 to 15. So to me, that I sometimes see these things through the lens of the Dolphins fan in me. But yeah, a nice week 16 correlation there. Again, this is why I really do need to up the overlay game, because seeing that kind of thing is useful. And week 16, week 16 might be the new week 17. We don't know. Who Aim says fun means high upside in my eyes. I think so, but I think there's some element of I guess high upside is how you would distill that, right? Like guys you're excited about, players. I think it almost starts delving into like real football, like players you like watching. I don't know. But yeah, high upside is probably the best way to describe it. Fun means you have to imagine fantastical scenarios to convince yourself the guy can produce. James Young with the more bearish take on what the fun team means. Speaking of fun, is there anything more fun than imagining Jameson Williams just storming down the field for a 85-yard end around? I don't think there is, and I'm just going to take him on this team. Xavier Worthy would have been fine. Another good pick. 2 week 10 buys. I'm not a bye week bro. I'm actually a Jameson Williams bro. So I will just windmill in that pick there on a team I'm already excited about. And let's see if we can land this plane. This Higgins and Williams as your first two receivers, not the end of the world. And when you pair that with Bijan and A-Chain, things start feeling like they're falling together a little bit. ATX Bearcat, he adds Devonta Smith to his team. ATX Bearcat, my fingers are crossed that you get Jalen Hurts, because I assume that's what you're trying to do, and just capture all of the touchdown equity in Philly. We'll see what a McNasty9 does with a name like McNasty. We just cannot count on him to do what we want, but let's see what he does. Who Aims? I think some drafters only live to see others lose. Haters see you cooking, can't resist bonking your team. You're probably right. I agree. Some people see something beautiful forming and they just have to smash it, unfortunately. So does ATX Bearcat take Hurts as expected? He does. So another deviation from running back, but that would be tough to pass up. Getting that selection there. Interesting choice for me here. George Pickens goes, we got Zay Flowers, Waddle, and Ridley. I could do Waddle A-Chain. I think I prefer Ridley among this group. I think I see the path to a true, as some in the industry would say, legendary season. I see that path from Ridley more than I see it from Waddle or Flowers. I definitely get the notion of taking of Waddle there because I do have A Chain, but I don't know. I don't know. I'd be interested what people would have done with that pick. Ridley also opens up another late QB option, but again, I think between those receivers, Ridley is my personal favorite there. Let's see. Ant X Well goes to a Dolphins bar in Tampa, loves pounding with my fellow Finns fan. That's what we do. That's 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 just how it goes. It is tough. It is tough being a Dolphins fan. It has not been fun. It has not been a fun aspect of my life. But you know what? We toil, and one day we will get there, Kevin. Yes, that's people do love to see someone's team unravel, especially if it's on stream. There is a certain contingent of internet troll that do love that sort of thing. But let's pull the board up. 4 running backs in a row there go off the board. Joe Burrow goes at 60. That's unfortunate. Some people, again, just cannot see something wonderful happen, and that's okay. Beauty is not for everyone, and it's certainly not for Nesty 19. He takes Burrow and then Travion Henderson. So what does that do for us? That means maybe Goff becomes more of a priority at this 101 pick, and Cam Ward becomes interesting for us late. Makes me think maybe Waddle might have been better because we'd be more inclined to take Tua. But, let's see what the room gives us. We're going to get a decent wide receiver in this range in all likelihood. I could potentially take Laporta to pair with JMO. But again, I think I would like to take one more wide receiver before we get too frisky with other positions. All right. Better do my errands before it's 100. Yeah, Hames, thank you first of all for stopping by. It is another scorcher here. Everybody stay cool out there. It is hot out. It is unhealthily hot out. I'm going to just take Chris Godwin. If we're going to lean a little into week 17 stuff, I mentioned this earlier. Really like Chris Godwin. Nice little ADP value. Let's hope we continue to get good news about his health. He could be a riser if we do. As a 4th receiver, Chris Godwin feels pretty good because he's, if there were no health issues, we would be taking him a heck of a lot higher. Chris Olave, same exact reasoning. I could have taken him and told the same story, but I like Godwin there. He opens up another potential quarterback. He goes around 92. So, trying to keep different options open for us. Sorting by ADP. Let's see, 6 picks from now. Probably take a running back, but I would be fine taking another receiver or probably Laporta if he comes to me. Let's see what happens. Chris Olave goes to ATX Bearcat. I like that pick. Again, when you're trying to catch up at receiver, Olave is one of my favorite clicks because you might be getting a 3-4 turn guy at the 5-6 turn. So like that pick a lot from you, ATX Bearcat, with the way that you have constructed your team, trying to build out a later wide receiver room. Keep the Chief. GM, thank you so much for coming by. Appreciate it. Good to see you again in here. Thanks for coming in. As a reminder, everyone, please like and subscribe. It helps keep the lights on and keep these drafts humming. ATX Bearcat back on the clock. What does he do? He takes Jacoby Myers. All right. Interesting decision here. Let's see what Gumby7 does. Does he take Laporta? Does he take Swift? Or does he take one of this cavalcade of receivers? He takes Matthew Golden. So I think I'm just going to take Laporta here. I'm really high on the Lions. I can't imagine not being high on them. and a little bit of ADP value here. Swift would be fine. Pollard would make sense to pair with Ridley, but I do consider Laporta towards that elite tier of tight end, and he makes sense as far as I think he makes sense as far as the roster construction on this team. So we add Sam Laporta. I almost took him at 68, and I got him at 77. So no complaints there. MBF 15, exactly. Laporta in the 7th feels way better than Laporta in the 6th. I don't know what it is, but I wholeheartedly agree. You know, the difference between Laporta and Godwin and Laporta and Pearsall and Golden does feel like non-zero. That does feel like a significant upgrade. So I agree with you there. I am glad I've been able to get that push. And Who Hames agree. Anytime you agree with Who Hames, you're making a cogent point. So yeah, I thank you. I like the pick there. I think he makes sense for this team. And we'll see what the board gives us. Let's see where Goff goes. Goff's ADP currently sits at 117. So that would mean he could be there at 116 in the ideal world. The Amon-Ra drafters over here, he already took Burrow from us. So we can fully expect him to take Goff at 109, even though he already has Nixon Burrow. But we'll see. We'll see if we are able to do that. I think he will be my, the plan at QB. Of course, as we know, plans in BBM can go horribly awry because it only takes one person to take somebody to ruin that plan, because these people have plans of their own and they do not always line up with what you're trying to do. That said, let me see. So the 1 and 3 hole and 4 hole need quarterbacks. So I was kind of thinking, if I took Igbuka, could I push Baker? And I think the answer is no. I think that would be getting too greedy. It is very likely that Baker would not wrap around to me. The running backs in this range are not very exciting. So I think Baker, if Baker falls to me, will be the click. If he does not, then I will, I'll figure it out from there. I'm hoping that Mahomes being here is going to shield me a little bit from someone taking Baker, although I don't know where the Evans drafter is. It's not him. So we'll see what that guy does. If I'm going to take someone unstacked here, it would be Kyler versus Baker. So yeah, I a little bit of ADP value on downs. I think that's fine, but let's just lock up Baker Mayfield and we can take one of these running backs in this next tier of player. All right. So yeah, glad we got our guy. No ADP value, but I think that's I think just as a selection, he is perfectly fine. Strainor 3, however, he opened with 4 receivers and goes 4 running backs in a row. ATX Bearcat, he scoops up the value on downs. Again, things have gone pretty well for you from opening 3 running backs. You've gotten some nice ADP value on quite a few players here, and you can add Josh Downs to that list. I have to think Gumby was thinking of taking Fields. Surprised he didn't take Fields there with how Fields can go unstacked. But, he pushes him. Let's see if he gets paid off for that gamble, or maybe he just hates Justin Fields and doesn't want him, which some people just don't like Fields. That's that's just how she goes. Trey Harris goes. Man, this is a big fall on Brian Robinson, but I don't like Brian Robinson at all. So he does take Fields. I think I prefer Scatabo over this entire range. And let's see, if I have them by ranks, Scatabo I've got ranked. These are Steve from Fanspeak's ranks. And this way, if I do this, I can blame Steve if this goes wrong. But no, in all seriousness, I'm pretty sketched out on B-Rob. Travis Etienne is in a very ambiguous backfield, and I take Scatabo over Tracy. So I'll take Cam Scatabo there, a little ahead of ADP, but I think as far as how my team is built, that pick makes the most sense. Again, I certainly am sympathetic to people taking one of these other running backs before there, but I don't think any of the other position picks would have made a whole lot of sense. So let's pick the board up. A nice fall on Hawkinson at 104. That is some big value for Jay Preach there. But again, did not need a tight end at this point. Board swinging around. Cody Santo gets Brian Robinson, 15, 16 picks past ADP. Let's see if Nest is our biggest worry about taking Goff. If Nest takes Goff, then this becomes a Cam Ward team almost assuredly. He turns into a priority to where we might need to take him in the 12th or 13th round to make sure that we are able to stack him up. I don't see any reason to try to push Goff to 125 unless there's some tremendous ADP value coming around to us. So, let's see. Nesty, what old Nesty does here. He takes Evan Ingram, stacking with Bo Nix, and then takes winding the clock down, making us wait, building the suspense, and he snaps off Jonnu Smith. So he only has 2 tight ends. So he adds Jonnu Smith to his team. And let's see, we are just waiting to see if we can lock up our Lions double, or if we are going to be scrambling for a backup plan. All right, so, not Drake May. It's bad news out of New England. Kyle Williams is apparently like the wide receiver 4 or 5 there. That can happen at this point in trading camp with rookies. They can work their way up the depth chart, but certainly not the world's greatest news coming out of New England as far as us Kyle Williams drafters. So we'll take Jared Goff here. That locks up our Jameson Williams and Sam Laporta double. Going Baker and Goff, this could be a 2 QB team. We'll see if anything makes sense later. This means we could potentially try to push Cam Ward, and if we don't get him, then it's not the end of the world. I do like to build 3 QB teams. I didn't use a ton of draft capital, so my leaning is still towards getting a third, but I will not force that in this case. As far as who we're going to take next, I'd probably take a falling Luther Burden if he fell to me. I don't know if I need a Kyle Williams. Potentially take another running back. I could take another share of Tootin, end up with a lot of Tootin Scatabo teams. Tajay Spears, kind of an interesting click if we are going to potentially build out Tennessee. Marvin Mims, not the worst selection on the board. David Njoku, probably my favorite tight end in this range. Running out of time. Oh my God. The slowest fingers in America. You got to see it here first. And you got to see it with a gigantic mouse, which makes it worse. Again, for those of you who do not know, I am not using a giant mouse. The way the Zoom works on StreamYard, the way I have this set up, for some reason, when you all see my stream, the mouse looks absolutely colossal. It is not, I can assure you, it is a normal human-sized mouse. Instead, it looks like I'm using almost a foam finger. And you got to see me with my foam finger whiff on switching last second to Tajay Spears. I like David Njoku. I should have had that cued a little better in retrospect. But you know what? Forcing diversification. This probably now will be a 2 tight end team, which really makes me think I'm going to go 3 quarterbacks. I consider Njoku pretty highly, and used high draft capital on Laporta. So this will probably be a 3-6-7-2 team, and you all got to see me fail in spectacular fashion here. Aunt Xwall says, "Don't drop the baby." Did I drop the baby, Aunt Xwall? Did you just witness a baby drop with a giant hand? Diggs being healthy seemingly doesn't help Williams either, says MBF 15. Yeah, Diggs does seem like he's going to be ready, and that certainly could be playing into that. I mean, they're giving good coach speak to Pop Douglas, which I think I took a fair amount of him in the big board. I was taking Keishon Booty in the big board. I'll admit that. It doesn't look good now. Doesn't look good now. He was playing pickleball with Drake May, and I thought these two are best buds. They're going to take my team to Canton together. It turns out they just like playing pickleball, and Keishon Booty might not. Keishon Booty might not even be on the team. I don't know. It's pretty grim. It's pretty grim, but as Drake May being one of the more popular clicks in fantasy, he's certainly a guy that we're looking to stack in any way possible. Marvin Mims is just been plummeting, and I still don't quite understand why. I think people like just learn that he's not always a full-time player and are like wildly overreacting. I do not understand the fall. Yeah, probably wish I had the Njoku pick back because this is such fertile ground for tight end versus some of the other options here. But you know what? That's okay. As far as running backs, maybe this will be a time to pick up some Rachaad White. Makes sense with my my Baker situation. I would prioritize Mims over White, but I almost didn't put Mims in the queue because I feel like one of these guys is probably going to take him. So it would go Mims, then White, and no. All right, we're going to get one of them. Let's see what this. He's already a six receivers. My goodness. Will Marvin Mims fall to me, or will Bins Madriel take him here? So he takes Rachaad White. So the choice was made for me. We will take Marvin Mims there, and yeah, a little bit of ADP value on a explosive player with high upside. I will happily scoop him there at 140. Who Hames, you saw I tried to get Rachaad White. I really did. I thought we were going to get him this draft, and we didn't. We did not get him this time, but that's okay. I think my next pick here, interesting choice. I'm pretty cool on Jaden Blue. I think Isaac Guerendo's fine, but I don't know if we've heard the last word on who the backup in San Francisco truly is. So he's not my favorite click on the board. Xavier Legette, I take him quite a bit. He would open Bryce Young if Bryce Young were to fall a lot. There goes Tua, Gino, Cam Ward at 165. So let's see. Maybe we just do a kind of boring. No, you know what? We're going to take Tyler Algier. I think Algier is a, one of the highest contingent upside. Oh my God, I already have Bijan. Guys, the baby is very slippery today. I did not want to add Bijan to Algier. Now I have to talk about how handcuffing isn't that bad. That was regrettable. I am sorry. People think that Harvey will nerf his light workload already. That seems fair. Mims. Yeah, that is the FUD on Mims is that the manufactured behind the line of scrimmage stuff is all going to go to Harvey. But I don't know. I don't know if Mims is truly going to go to nothing. He was very good late in the season on not a lot of snap counts. So I mean, he's shown he can get there, and who knows? He could work his way more and more onto the field. Players do develop and get better. And well, sorry, but it's not that bad. That was unfortunate. That was unfortunate. I don't know why in my head I had Gibbs. That's because I know I'm doing a Lions. Thing, so I was thinking I had Gibbs and I was going to get Bijan's backup. But you know what? Now if something happens to Bijan, this team could keep on chugging. Of course, that's bad because somebody will have Gibbs and Algier, and then they will get both. So you don't love to see that. You start drawing towards the thin, Bijan misses 3 weeks, Algier carries you through, and then Bijan's back in the playoffs at low ownership. That's the dream scenario when you do this, but it's a little thin. It's a little thin, folks. I'm not gonna lie. I did not mean to do that. All right, but if we can get Cam Ward with our next pick, all will be made right with the world. That would be a nice selection for us. Let's see, ATX Bearcat. Since we last saw him, he got the falling value on Luther Burden added Dallas Goedert to his Philly bet and takes QJ. So still just one quarterback for ATX Bearcat, but when you have Jalen Hurts, that makes a lot of sense. Let's see. This guy only has one quarterback. Does he take Cam Ward? If he does, then this is probably just a 2 QB team. He takes Cam Ward, so we do not get Cam Ward. I could, of course, take Jalen Wright and just double handcuff my my running backs, because why not? We'll take Roschon Johnson because we need to add a third by week 5 to the team. But in all seriousness, I do like Roschon. I think that backfield is somewhat ambiguous, and he is a fine late round back. I really liked how this team started, and things have the tides have turned a little bit against me here. I'm going to be honest with you all. I'd love to have the Algier pick back, and I really would have liked to have gotten Cam Ward at 164. Maybe even to the point where we should have just taken him at 149, because all these backup running backs are kind of just contingent value pieces that are different versions of the same bet. If I really wanted to force a third QB, I could backstack Sam Darnold potentially, but I don't know. I imagine ATX Bearcat is going to take Darnold here because he only has one QB, but we'll see what ATX Bearcat does. He takes Daniel Jones. Interesting choice there. I'm almost inclined to take Darnold because I feel like he is easily backstacked there. I think with Bijan, A-Chain, Scatabo, I can stop at five running backs. So we're going to take Darnold here. I know forcing the third QB yet again, but I do like some of his the late options enough to where we're just going to do that versus sticking with it. And I think with Laporta and Ingram, I'm going to end up with that sort of quote unquote luxury pick. I could have stopped at 2 tight ends. I could have stopped at 2 QBs. I don't feel like I need to stop at 2 of both. So in this one, do not let me take another tight end. I don't care who is there. I cannot do it. We cannot continue to drop the baby. Yeah, Jalen Wright, come on down. He would have fit perfectly with this team at X Wall. I don't think cucking backfield is terrible. I wouldn't be surprised if the data proves it good. I don't think it's terrible either. I don't think it's terrible. I do think like the situation where your stud goes out for the year and you have the backup is bad because someone will have a stud who is not injured and the backup, right? Like Algier is going to be on teams with other first round players. But if he ends up bridging you, if some injury happens in the middle of the season and it helps drag a low-owned Bijan into the playoffs or through a game of the playoffs, that could be absolutely huge, right? And that's not like a crazy scenario. So I think it's the first scenario where it's like a season-ending injury is what people kind of gravitate towards. But those bridge scenarios where they can like keep you afloat for a few weeks, that's where the true value lies. So again, you only get one season with these slates. Like it's just one slate. So, whatever happened last year gets magnified so much, but like these are not implausible things to occur. ATX Bearcat, you are welcome. Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, we took Daniel Jones. I was I do appreciate that. I think I saw you had Pittman. You have Downs. If I remember, you have Downs, so that makes sense. Lay the House RM King. Thank you so much for coming by. Lay the House RM, one of the good ones in the gambling streets on Twitter. So let's see what is coming up to us. What pick are we? We are interesting. I think I'm going to take one of these running backs here. I have a ton of Diami Brown, but I have a couple guys in mind for how we're going to round out this team. So Diami Brown, again, really like that click in the 16th round. I could see him rising up more and more as the summer goes on. He's already risen from the 18th to the 16th. I could see that rolling on. We'll add Will Shipley chasing to the crew. And next guy up, I will add Martez Valdez Scantling to hopefully stack with Sam Darnold. If he goes, then that's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. I guess ATX Bearcat could snap him off. I don't know why I thought the board was going the other way, but this is better because it is the shorter weight. So yes, hopefully we're able to stack him. Otherwise, this could be Torrey Horton. Here's a who. Or, I could go back on my word and take Arroyo to stack up with Darnold. But we'll see. We'll see. ATX Bearcat, he takes DJ Giddens. Love that pick. Makes a ton of sense with Daniel Jones. Don't forget, I left you DJ Giddens when I took Will Shipley. Please be nice. Don't take my... I'm just kidding. ATX Bearcat. You can take whoever you want. I do not want people to draft differently because they are here... Cuckung is not a word. Where's that autocorrect when you need it? Well, unfortunately, the autocorrect does not speak best ball. So we'll take MVS here. So we've got a 3-6-6-2 with Baker, Goff, and Darnold at QB. Bijan, Devon Achane, Cam Scatabo, Tyler Algier, Roshan Johnson, and Will Shipley at running back. T. Higgins, Jamison Williams, Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin, Marvin Mims, and MVS at receiver, and Laporta and Njoku at tight end. I actually do like the team, all jokes aside, with the Algier pick. I don't think that's going to completely submarine what we've got going on. And let's see, my final pick will be somebody that is not drafted very often. And I'm probably just going to have to type his name in because I'm going to sprain my finger scrolling, and I may have missed him already. One of our kings from the big board, Tez Johnson. Tez Johnson apparently getting a little bit of training camp buzz. He's not going to be 100% owned. He stacks with Baker, and if he's there, I think that would be the pick. It would be tempting to take like a Yoshi Voss here. I do think there's a much higher likelihood that Yoshi Voss hits the lineup than Tez does. But there goes Yoshi Voss. So again, I don't want to get too cute with my last round pick if there's somebody that I think is actually like a good NFL player and is definitely not a zero. And right now, barring them adding someone to the room, I think Yoshi Voss fits that. And I have Higgins, so it's a little bit of a cincy bet. But I do not want to get too cute if there's guys I am really into. A few other good options, AD Mitchell, he's getting a lot of good word in camp. Tutu Atwell seems like, again, Robinson left. So Atwell might be, worked in a little bit more in an offense we're happy about. Coker, that's a mess in Carolina, but if he wins the starting slot job, that's a legitimate path to some good upside. So again, some decent options here in round 18 that are not likely to be complete zeros. Dontavian Wicks, if you want to get on Davis Maddox, good side, draft Dontavian Wicks, and then it starts getting a little greasier down there. And if you want to get truly greasy, Tez Johnson, and just see if we can get a low owned piece to pair with Baker. All right, so to round the team out, it is a 3-6-7-2. Baker, Goff, Darnold, Bijan, Achane, Scatabo, Algier, Roshan, and Shipley. T. Higgins, Jamison Williams, Calvin Ridley, Chris Godwin, Marvin Mims, Martez Valdez-Scantling, Tez Johnson, and Laporta and Njoku. All right. The sprint lobby is still 3 of 12. Do I take a tight end or QB with last pick? Oh my God. For you, I would have taken a QB, and I'm sorry. I see this now as you've already made the pick. I probably would have taken Aaron Rodgers if I were you, but I'm very 3 QB pilled. I know you don't have a stack there, but I think Rodgers is just going to play the whole season, whereas Jones is not as much of a guarantee. I think that's how I probably would have wound down the team. I also really like Bretton Strange. I think Bretton Strange should be going 20 picks higher than he's going. So to me, Goddard and Strange, you could, you know, Goddard was a guy we considered more elite a couple years ago, and I really do like Strange. Um, that was the move you could have taken. Show I don't know ATX Bearcat. I mean, you got to draft like you're right? And you if if it's the Jalen Hurts smash year, then I see ending at 2 there. It's more that I'm just worried Daniel Jones um, is I don't know what his odds are to be like the full year starter, but I have to imagine it's less than 50-50 to play like um, 17 games. I don't know, but if he does, again, you got to draft like you're right? Like if you're drafting like Daniel Jones as a 17-week starter, then I think stopping at 2 makes sense. You can't cover every base, so I don't mind stopping at 2. I think that's fine. Um, I guess for me, it's just I think Dalton Schultz is very low upside. Every time I take him, I'm like, it's like I almost don't take him if I don't have CJ Stroud. I just I feel like he got his opportunity to shine last year and like didn't really do anything with it. But yeah, again, I think uh, odds are is your 18th round pick going to make or break the team? Probably not. I like the way you've constructed. I'll go over your team 2-5-8-3 with Hurts and Daniel Jones, Saquon, Bucky, Chase Brown, Sharps, and Giddens. Huge upside in the running back room, wide receiver room of Devontae, Olave, Myers, Downs, Coleman, Burden, QJ, and Wilson. I like the crew you've assembled there. And then Goddard, Strange, and Schultz. Again, big on Goddard and Strange there. Myself, I like the team you have done. If Danny Dimes starts 17, I win all the money. Yeah, I mean, if Dimes was like a league winner I think it was 3 years ago now. Like he was absolutely massive, and the Colts offense is kind of exciting. Like they've got a lot of really good pass catchers. They play in a dome. They play in a division with teams with defenses we're like, generally not scared of. I know the Texans defense is good, but I don't think I could see the Jags being in a lot of shootouts. So I don't know. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. But everybody, if you can, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for coming today. I think this was a fun stream. I think we built a couple of fun teams. You guys got to see me drop a baby, but you know what? I think babies are very resilient, and I think this team ended up being somewhat resilient and overcame it. So again, thank you all so much for coming in. Had a ton of fun today, and I'll see y'all again soon. Take care, everyone.